Hi, my name is Mark Steinberg, and I am welcoming you to the Conscious Aging webinar. I'm very excited that so many of you have chosen to be in this space. Well, conscious aging is all about making and having the power to make the right choices that bring balance to your body, to your mind, to your spirit, to your heart, and in your world. And I'm here to help you, guide you, support you in your journey to a conscious aging, in your journey to longevity and happiness. So, is that for you? Well, see, I believe this content, what I'm going to share with you, is for everyone. Why? Simply because we started aging with the first breath we ever took in our lives. And that was the first one after we came out of the womb. And every other breath thereafter was just one step closer to the final long exhale someday in the future. And in between, that's called aging. And of course, this webinar is also for everyone who is looking in the mirror and starting to think about the future, noticing differences in the body, maybe differences in the energy, and asking some very good questions about the future. The webinar is also for everyone who really has a commitment to age the best way they possibly can, and not only on the outside, but on the inside. That means really doing the work of the conscious awakening, becoming a holistic, aware person, and making yourself happy and creating a happy world for others. But maybe you are not sure whether you are in the right place here. Maybe you are postponing the subject. Well, then this is great that you are here, because there's no postponement. Aging happens whether we like it or not. Why I'm sharing all of that with you? Well, it started with a wake-up call. And my wake-up call happened 2014, 23rd of July, when at 11 o'clock at night, suddenly in bed, my body experienced something it never has experienced before. It was a awkward, very inconvenient feeling overall in the body. It's like my 70 trillion cells suddenly went into fear. And I had no clue what was going on. So what happened was that they realized, I found out later, my 70 trillion cells realized that they actually are mortal. Now, please don't laugh. I mean, we all know we're going to die one day. I know that. I had it in my head. I even had near-death experiences, so I wasn't like not initiated into the whole subject. But my body suddenly made a very strange movement into a fear with regard to the upcoming, one day maybe, in 40 years, in 50 years, but something in my cells has reacted. And from there on, I went on a journey to really dive deep into the whole subject, discover principles, learned, I grew and integrated. So this was a journey that then finally came to the closure I want to share that with the people, with everyone in the world. And in my world, I make it as practical as possible so people can have a benefit from it. So I created the webinar, I created the conscious aging training, and all of that in favor of making it possible for you to make the right choices now and not when it is later or don't want to even think about it, too late. So in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to share with you the 5 shifts. What is that? Well, we do need to make shifts in order to have a different future, better future. If we continue the same things as we always did, we're going to get the same results as we always did, and nothing is going to change. So then your future will be just a modified version of the past. That's, by the way, the definition of insanity. So the first shift, as you can see on the screen, is the wake-up call. Now that's a shift, the wake-up call. So what is it and how does it work and what do I need to do and how do I recognize it? And what if I don't want to wake up? If I just prefer remaining asleep? We're gonna get to that one. Shift number 2 is the return of the wizard. The need to bring back the wizard in you. There is a magic in you that has probably been overlooked or forgotten. It was there as a child. You had this magic. Life was an adventure, and the wizard then probably got, kicked out because we needed to become adults. Well, we get to that in full depth. Shift number 3, the secret weapon. Yes, you do have a secret weapon. But it maybe is so secret that even you forgot what it is. Let's take a look at that when we get to shift number 3. Shift number 4 is sustainable youth, abundant energy, and never-ending inspiration. That's the formula of a happy life, no matter in what phase of your life you are. And then number 5 is choose the right way of mentoring. Why is that important? Because life is a consistent journey of growing and learning. And if you stop growing and learning, then basically what you are, you become a mechanism of routine. There's nothing new, it's just a repetition of what you already know. And then exactly, that's your life energy. It's quite boring, it's quite dragging, it's nothing new is happening. So you don't want that. So mentoring is also a part to be chosen wisely. Yeah, my promise to you. Well, I like to make promises because they keep me on my toe and you can hold me accountable for that. I love that kind of clarity between me and my listeners. And my first promise is based on a question I shared with you in my emails. The question was, what is the greatest wish when it comes to own aging? What is the greatest wish when it comes to your own aging? And I selected those answers and I compiled them. And my promise is that those qualities that most of you are wishing are attainable. And my promise is that you can achieve those. And my promise is that I can be a support and a help in you doing so. So the summary was or says, for example, staying physically flexible without pain. So many of you mentioned staying physically flexible, but without pain. Yes, it's possible, absolutely. Staying powerful in the mind to cope with all the changes ahead. That's incredibly important, that your mind, your brain is maintaining its fluidity, maintaining its ability to be flexible. Also staying open to understand the ever-evolving new world. The world is changing, you know that, and it's changing faster and faster and faster and faster, and it's kind of tough, even for the young people, to catch up with it. Yeah, there's no excuse. We need to have a flexibility to do that. Some of you mentioned just keep reading, creating art, always meeting new people, travel, keep visiting expositions and theater plays. Yeah, I love that because it simply means enjoy what is in front of you. Live the life according to your joy and learn what joy really means. And then someone said, keep enjoying life without limits. Without limits, yes. I believe there is no limit except the self-imposed beliefs that we hold in ourselves, whether we like it or not. Otherwise, I never discovered any limits in my life. Now, I also want to make an additional promise to you. My additional promise to you is to help you slowing down aging and making aging the adventure of your life. The adventure of your life. As in everything else was just a preparation for you now to go into this phase of your life. Doesn't matter how old you are. Going into that phase of your life where you are making it really an adventure, not something that is to be avoided or that is to be afraid of, but making it an adventure. So you are excited every single day to go into the day and discover the new stuff that is waiting for you to be discovered. The problems are multifold that are around aging. You know, most people worry about their health. Yeah. Some people get up grumpy in the morning or numb and worry about the future. So it's not wrong to worry about the future, because most people do, no matter what age they are. You know, it's just a matter whether that worry is occupying you, whether that worry is really getting in under your skin and causing panic, anxiety, resistance, depression, you know, all these psychological states that are not in your favor, that deprive you from being able to enjoy the everyday privilege of listening. So from here, it's all downhill? No, not at all. It's your choice whether it is or not. How to make the choice? How to make the choice and it is real? This is part of what I'm going to share with you. Also, maybe you wake up in the morning and you ask yourself, what is my legacy? Or my legacy, is that really what I wanted to share with the world and leave behind? What do I want to see written on my tombstone when the final day has come? Yeah. Some of you may wake up dreading of age-related surprises of the inconvenient kind. Yeah. So we're talking about here of you know, stuff like dependency or not being able to get rid of the pain, and you know, all the horror stories and scenarios the mind can make up. Or maybe you have somebody in your life who is suffering from that. You think, oh my God, you know, what's happening to me, you know, when I'm getting there. Some of you may have found that you are using the word still more and more often. I'm still able to. No, I'm still good. I'm still fit. I'm still careful. This is a red flag. It's a real red flag. There are underlying beliefs that you don't want to have. All right, we get there. So, is that sounding like you? Yeah, or parts of it? But I'm not done yet. There is more. The list could be endless. A couple of more things I want to share with you. Yeah? Maybe you get stressed because there are so many things you still want to do, like the unticked items on your bucket list. Or maybe you start to wonder whether it's true that you don't have any issues with dying. What is thereafter? Or the problem of insecurity, yeah, not experiencing that you are the driver in your life, but you get pushed to the backseat, something else is driving, so you don't have your hands on the steering wheel any longer, and that could be an inconvenient perspective, but it's also not true. So maybe there's pain, maybe there's worry of loss of stamina and drive, and the list, as I said, is very, very long. So that's the bad news. Of course, I have good news. Otherwise, I wouldn't do this webinar for you. The good news is that none of the long list is the real problem. Did you hear what I was saying? None of these is the real problem. The real problem is that you haven't made the required shifts. Now you may say to me, but Mark, wait a minute. My thoughts don't want to shift. I tried a lot of things. My emotions resist shifting. My belief systems don't want to move. And my bad habits resist to shift. I have more good news for you. All of these are also not the real problem. The only thing what needs to shift is you. This you, what I'm talking about, is the you that is listening to what I'm having to say right now, if you're still listening. The you that receives the message I am sharing with the world right now, with you listening to it. Now, please consider the possibility that there is a much bigger you behind yourself. Yeah, like a much bigger you, which is referred in many scriptures, in many poetries, religions. It's always referred. You may call it the higher self. You may call it the universe. You may call it the greater. Doesn't matter. It is something that I invite you to consider that it is there. So that small you, that is not you, that you have been told to be, that you are in a habit of being, because you were told by your parents who you are, you were told by society who you are, you were told by your friends who you are, and then you started telling yourself who you are in comparison and reference to what you were told who you are. So big thing developed, which is not you. And that needs to shift, because if that doesn't shift, then the glory of who you really are is not really having a chance to come up and bring back the light in your eyes. So when you make those shifts, what's going to happen is you finally will be able to experience having new wings. You know, all the worries and all the anxiety is suddenly dropping. And you are like, whoa, that's how it feels like. But I'm always talking about not a moment, I'm talking about a sustainable condition which you wake up into, which you live through the day, which you go to bed at night. Discovering the meaning of the second life becomes possible. Really finding the meaning of the adventure, not only an adventure, but also the meaning of it. You know, giving the second life, the second part of your life, a context, a real meaning and power. You will maybe want to review or create a legacy that is making you proud. Proud of having been alive and leaving that to the people that you love, leaving that to the society. That comes with reinventing yourself on the next level, on a whole new level, becoming lean, pure, powerful, clear, all these attributes. So when worry, anxiety, depression, panic attacks, and all these problems are becoming a thing of the past, then you can expect falling in love with life again. Yes, falling in love with life. Can you imagine that? Children are in love with life. And we adults, we struggle with that one. But it can come back because it never went away. It just got overlaid with a lot of stuff that we need to take a look at. You can release all attachments when you are making those shifts. No more dependencies on things you believe you need. No, need is a terrible energy. Yeah, want is great as long as it is a preference, but need, you want to transcend that one for absolutely sure. Celebrating your libido on fulfilling levels, whatever that means for you. Yeah, it's an important and wonderful subject to go into. Learning to live like the flight of the eagle. The flight of the eagle doesn't leave any traces. Your actions in the moment are so complete, so authentic, that there's no residue. There's no mind thinking in the evening when you lie in bed about what you have done or what you should have done. All of that is not happening because you live the flight of the eagle. Remaining young forever in an aging body, absolutely. And you need to also learn how to make friends with pain. See, the Buddhists are very wise, and they said pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Yeah, that's a wise word. Good to go into that one. And then ultimately also integrating all the top strategies around diet, around exercise, around sleep. There's so much what you can do research on, and there's so little that really make a difference. I want to share with you a lot about that in the training, what those details are that could benefit to you in an incredible way. So, who am I to teach you all that? Good question. Well, my year make was 1959 in Germany. Ever since I was traveling the world, and today I live with my beloved wife Sheila on Crete, an island of Greece. My daughter Sanya is 34, lives in Berlin. She's a Tantra teacher and consciousness coach. I'm a teacher of consciousness, as many of you know. I'm an entrepreneur, and my vision is to make conscious living a worldwide reality. I want to show you a little movie my students made for me. Just 1 minute, 53 seconds, so not too long. There's a more about my life so that you know a little bit how I live and what I think, who I am. So let's watch that little movie, and then after that we continue. Thank you.
My vocation is being a teacher of transformation, of spirituality, of love. I feel fully alive in a state of great purpose, great service, gratitude. When I'm interacting with people, whether it's one-to-one or a big audience of 500, then I'm feeling that life force rushing through my body, using me for creating something of which I'm just a part of and doing my role. And that's very alive. I'm on a mission to make love a worldwide reality. And I do that through creative consciousness, as I call it, to show people that every problem we have as a society and a species on the planet can be traced back to a lack of love. The need for love became clear to me as a necessity at age 16, when I did slide into an internal strong suffering. And during that time of deep unhappiness and depression, I questioned my life's purpose because I didn't have one. And then I looked at the greatest pain. The biggest pain of mankind is separation, for sure. Out of which fear arises, out of which neurotic action arises, out of which ultimately war arises. And I just was clear, this needs to be healed. What I do today is in the light of the legacy that I am passionate about to manifest. And when my lost moment has come, I want to look back and see that I have created something for the future generations that is resonating with the deepest values in my being. To know and feel I have used this life to the max. I served my heart and I didn't betray my soul. That's my legacy. My name is Mark Steinberg. I'm the founder of Creative Consciousness International. I'm an author and a spiritual teacher.
All right. Well, sounds, looks pretty good, I believe, but make no mistake, I had and have my challenges as everyone else. No one gets spared. We all are here to confront challenges and to learn to handle them in an ever better way. Look, I survived a horrific car crash. I survived pneumonia legionella. Name comes from, it has killed legions. I know how suicidal thoughts feel. I have flirted with anxiety, with depression, panic attacks. I went for 5 years into what's known as the dark night of the soul, in order to learn principles that I cannot learn in any other place. That's why in the old myth, in the old stories, in the wisdom of the ancient tribes, the underworld and the hero going into the underworld was one of the most important stages of the hero's journey. And that is true for all of us, whether you already have been there or whether you are going to go to get there. The only thing what you need to know is that it is for your benefit, because what you're about to learn is an incredible wealth. When you come back to the light, you are a changed person. I have had a quite problematic knee since my age of 18, and I'm doing yoga, I'm cycling, I am power walking, so I'm handling it in a graceful and healthy and powerful way. I was bankrupt twice, and today I'm very well off. I know what suffering in a relationship means. Hell, I know, sure. And I learned my lessons, and today I'm blessed with already 4 years with my beloved Sheila, my wife. So I do have challenges, and as you do, it's all about not having challenges. It's about how you deal with them. So here are the 5 shifts. Now, shift number 1, follow the wake-up call. I shared with you my wake-up call, and I believe you had your wake-up calls already, or you will get one. The wake-up call has a purpose. And the best analogy I can think of is a soccer game. Now, in a soccer game, like in many other sports games, but in a soccer game, you play 45 minutes as a team, and you run into one side, and you need to get the ball into the goal, sure. Then you have a break, mid-time, half-time break. And then you play again 45 minutes. What's the difference between the first 45 minutes and the second 45 minutes? Exactly. In the second 45 minutes, you run into exactly the opposite direction. So what I mean by that is that in everyone's life, there comes that break where the wake-up call happens, where life screams at you, great, wonderful, you have survived and managed and aced part 1. Now let's continue bringing the ball home in part 2. But if you don't get that call, and if you run after the half-time break still into the same direction like before, you're gonna shoot one own goal after another. And then you wonder why the game is not working anymore, and why nobody is clapping, and why the problems are just piling up instead of anything else is happening. So to get that point, and today in our times, the timeline, which was in 50, 100 years ago, still around 45, 50, called midlife crisis, by the way, comes more and more and more earlier. So today, like people in their 30s, 30, 35, are already experiencing the wake-up call, because we are, as a collective, in a movement towards higher consciousness. And that means we need earlier to do the ultimate shift, to get up and run into the other direction. And let me make the remark, religio means returning. So the return is not a sad news. The return is the next level. But in order for you in your life to make the second part of your life an adventure, and as I said, the second part can already start in your 30s, you need to play into a different direction, into the opposite direction. What that means needs understanding. But the wake-up call is the important thing, because if you don't want to hear it, it's like the alarm clock in the morning rings and you say, it's not happening, or you just ignore it, then you have consequences to deal with, inevitably. So then when that is happening, or even before, if you're lucky and find the right mentors, that stage is shift number 2. Shift number 2 means the return of the wizard. Now, in order to understand the wizard, let me just take another analogy or even a fact. You are composed of 4 essential bodies: the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. Now, when those 4 bodies are in harmony, then life is just ecstatic. And everything is in flow and everything is beautiful. But for most people, that is almost never the case. The 4 bodies are usually in conflict. And this contradiction, these conflicting energies, that discord costs so much energy, it's unbelievable. And what's happening is that your mind consistently tries to manage and mediate between those 4 bodies. And that's why your mind is so full of thoughts. That's why your mind doesn't stand still. That's why your mind is never really able to catch up. That's why your mind consistently produces language, and you can hear the voices in your head talking all the time, and even it doesn't sleep you. That means in your dreams it's still working and goes on. So you know what I'm talking about. The endless chatter in your head? Absolutely. And that is a consequence of disharmony in the 4 bodies. Yeah. So your mental body says, let's have a beer. Your emotional body produces desire, so they are working together. Your physical body says, really, do we need that? Your spiritual body just looks away. Conflict. Yeah. Who wins? And then the machinery goes, and maybe you have a good time, and then you feel guilty, and then you know what I'm talking about. Or you simply decide to do exercising. Yeah, then you do exercising, but then the voice comes and the emotional body says, oh, we are not really in the mood for that. I'm not in the mood. I don't feel like it. And then you have choices, either only discipline or you don't do it at all, and then you feel guilty again. And your spiritual body says, hey, it would be really good because it balances your energies and it reduces something, and so on and so forth. And then your physical body is completely irritated because the voices inside are all happening in your brain, and your brain is conducting the body, and your physical body doesn't know what to do anymore. Shall we run or shall we not run? I could go on, but I don't want to torment you with all that what you probably, hopefully, are aware of. So these conflicts and all of that, if you don't create harmony, then it will just go on forever, endlessly. The conflict will just continue. So imagine you have a board and a board table in your head, and all those voices, all those energies are sitting around the table, and they're arguing, and you want to buy something, and then there one voice says, no, save for later. The other voice says, but you will only live now. But I feel like it, but I don't feel like it. Well, you know what's missing in that boardroom? In the boardroom, what's missing is an energy. The CEO, the wizard, needs to come back and silence those voices. They need a leader. The leader has disappeared a long time, or you never had a chance in your childhood that your leader could show up because you were suppressed and made someone to conform and to follow and all the rest of it. So the wizard is the return of the energy of leadership, of the magician, of the one who doesn't belong to the voices. It's the one who hears the voices. It's the one that is now in the background, and this one needs to come back. So you need to bring back your wizard, because if you don't, those voices take all your energy and use it for fighting. And one day you are completely depleted. Yeah, that's called burnout. That's called depression, and there's no need to let it come to that. So to bring back the wizard, you need to prepare for the wizard's return. And the best preparation is by using your secret weapon. That's shift number 3, your secret weapon. The secret weapon is awareness. Awareness. And awareness, because awareness is something nobody can take away from you. It's something nobody can violate. It's something you can't even lose. You just can deny it. It's untouchable, invincible. That's why it's the secret weapon. So how do you get now the secret weapon into your hands? And how do you prepare, therefore, for the wizard's return, which is the bigger you, the greater self? Well, number 1 is meditate. At least 20 minutes a day. Meditate. Meditate in the right way. Just sitting still, doing nothing, not engaging in the voices, not resisting them. Just being a pure space of awareness so that you can become aware of your awareness. The moment you become aware of your awareness, the wizard is back, because only the wizard can become aware of awareness. So in meditation, you practice. You will have thoughts, you will have feelings. There are the 5 senses who are bringing impulses in, maybe sounds, maybe lights, and so on and so forth. And all of that is allowed to happen. What comes, comes. What goes, goes. You're not engaging. You're just staying present in your awareness. That's meditation. Now, you need to practice that. Next step, also journal. Yeah, write down how you feel, what's happening. Best time is in the morning. Yeah, you wake up, you make a cup of tea, hot water, coffee, whatever it is, and then you journal. And after a couple of days, you already will start loving it. And if you don't do it anymore, you will missing it. It's such a good moment with yourself. It's quality time with yourself. In the beginning, if you never have done it, it may feel a little bit, like clumsy or a little bit like rusty. Doesn't matter. Just do it. 10 minutes minimum. And most people love to do it when they have time, 20, 30 minutes, sometimes even more. And number 3 to prepare is make a choice for a committed spiritual journey. A committed spiritual journey. Because on that journey, you're going to meet the wizard. That's inevitable. But it must be the right journey that matches your energy, and it must be a commitment, because just reading some books and calling that a spiritual journey, no go, that's not it. Not even watching great YouTube videos and so on and so forth. They are all wonderful inspirations, but you got to make a choice for your life, whether spirituality becomes a way in your life that you honor, that you love, and that you know what the benefits are. And the last one is practice more listening, less speaking. As Jimi Hendrix says, knowledge speaks, wisdom listens. I would love to spend now a moment, 20 minutes meditation of just being with you, but we are in a webinar and we can do that later. Okay. So let's go to shift number 4, sustainable youth, abundant energy, and never-ending inspiration. Can you imagine? You go to bed at night and you're so excited. You can't wait for the morning to come and to get up and to get into your life again. So you're excited not to get sleep. You're excited to get it over with so that you can participate in your life fully in your waking state. Most people are not like that at all. They rather sleep than live. I don't know. Maybe it's because they are not in love with life anymore. You know, when there's nothing new to be expected from life, you got the t-shirt, you've been there, you know the game. You know, why be excited to get up in the morning? Yeah. And maybe it's because there's not anything different anymore to be expected. But that is just an attitude. Your energy has nothing to do with sleep or food. Have you noticed? Yeah, you can have all the sleep in the world and all the food in the world. Yeah, energetically, you might be just drained, just drained. So, what reason would life need to give you for you to be excited to get up in the morning? You probably think it's something external. And yes, external things are making a difference, but they make you also dependent. See, if suddenly a miracle happens and 10 million in your bank account are showing up, you might be getting a rush of energy. You might have been depleted for a long time and suddenly you have energy. But that's strange, isn't it? Because those 10 million are just a digital 1-0 event in reality on your screen. And you have so much energy? Where does that come from? The energy must have been somewhere in you because there's not DHL delivering energy to you. It's the same thing. Let's say you, after 3-4 years of a boring single life, you suddenly really fall in love with a person. You suddenly have energy you maybe had as a child. Where does that come from? It comes from inside, not from outside. There's no outside energy suddenly rushing into you. There's something happening in you that brings that up. And another example could be, let's say you go to the doctor and the doctor gives you a very bad diagnosis and you are kind of shocked and for weeks you are depleted of energy. You just almost can't get out of bed anymore. And then the doctor calls and says, oh, I'm so sorry. There was a mistake. You're perfectly well. Boom! Don't you have immediate energy? Of course. You jump out of bed, you scream, you start dancing maybe. Where does that come from? It all comes from the inside. So forget the idea that the next food supplement and this and that, they may do little biological things, and yes, something has to do, but the real energy you're looking for, the big kick, that what really makes you be alive, that comes from inside, has nothing to do with external circumstances. They just trigger something that you're inside. And to go to that source, that's part of the spiritual journey. That's part of conscious living. That's part of conscious aging, of course. So this is something super important to notice. And what I can do, or what I can give you as a practical advice, to become aware where your energy drops, to become aware where you waste your energy. Because most people are on an energy level of only 20-30% of their potential. Seriously. Because 30 to 40% are wasted in keeping your unresolved problems at bay. And the other 30-40% are spent on resistance. And you have done that for decades, for such a long time. You armored yourself, you protected yourself not to feel particular pains, not to have, again, the thing with your mom and your dad and all the rest of it. And to keep yourself at bay, to keep yourself together, functioning as a normal person, costs about 80% of your potential energy. If you wouldn't need to do that anymore, you would have all the energy back because it never has left you. It's just used for the wrong purposes. So, good thing is to just notice and start becoming aware when you lose your energy, what's happening, and how are you wasting your energy here and how are you wasting your energy there. Knowing that it's not about gaining more energy. Kill that thought because it's not right. It's all about stopping to waste energy, which comes from the narrative that there is 100% energy all the time available in you. And you are the wizard. You are the one who decides what you want to use the energy for. So make the right choices what you use the energy for, not on resistance, but on participation. Not on finding out the smart strategy to get around, because maybe that's painful, maybe that's not painful. No. Play. Step in. And you'll see. There's much more to say, of course. So many of you in your emails, they shared how important the matter of health is. And there's so much to say about that. And I'm not a doctor. I don't want to be one. My destiny has chosen a different role for me. But if you go to YouTube and the internet, there's so much about health, isn't there? And you know already so much about it. Now, I'm reminded with the overwhelm of all that what one can do and what one cannot do, I'm reminded about one of the greatest teachings I got from my most beloved mentor, Jiddu Krishnamurti, who passed away in 1986. He said to me, when you are busy with the leaves here on a tree analogy, a leaf there, a branch there, etc., 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 it takes you forever. Why not consider putting your hands on the trunk of the tree and move the whole tree in one go, and all the branches and leaves are going with it? Made total sense. And that was my approach and is my approach for creating the work I do and how I interact with people. I don't care about the leaves and the branches. I care about the trunk. And Prince EA, very inspirational, motivational speaker, check him out on YouTube. He said, a farmer, if he sees a tree has a problem, doesn't look at branches and leaves. He goes straight to the root, because the problem of the leaves and the branches is in the root, not in the leaf and the branches. Makes also sense, right? So what is the root? What is the root we are talking here about? And I'm coming back to something I shared with you about 15 minutes ago. It is the you. At the root of everything, what goes right and wrong in your life is always, at the end of the day, the you. If your you is healthy, your body is healthy. If your you is happy, your life is happy. If your you is connected, your life is a mirror of connection, and so on and so forth. The you is the one that you need to work on, and that's the one that needs to be shifted. That's the most important message I possibly can share with you today. If you get that and you stop wasting time and resources on fiddling with the branches and the leaves, and you finally get it that you got to get to the root, whether you like it or not, yeah, then you are ready. And when you're ready, the teacher appears as well. An old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And that's why it's important for you to make a choice with regard to the right way of mentoring. And that's shift number 5, choosing the right way of mentoring. Why I'm saying that, why I put it as a shift, because it's essential. Look, you can read books, fine, but if books would make the difference, we would be a different culture. Books are great sources of inspiration, but knowledge doesn't transform. The transference of knowledge through books and through lectures is one thing, but the transmission of power, that's their energy, which enables you to bring down the knowledge and bring the rubber on the road, to bring the spirituality into your life, to bring all those insights into the real world where it matters. And that's why I always advise to choose a source where there is a transmission of power, so that your knowledge will be something you can actually live. Because I know you know so many things that would be really, really great for your life, but you are not having the power to live them. True? Say yes, because it's true. Knowing is one thing. Living it is another. And I'm passionate about supporting you, being a guide, to make your knowledge become a reality. As the saying goes, if you want to howl with the wolves, don't poop with the puppies. So let's take a look what we have covered today. I shared with you the 5 shifts. Shift number 1 was follow the wake-up call. Realizing there is a wake-up call, and then not putting it on snooze, no, getting up and following it. Next one was the return of the wizard. The need to bring back the wizard. The preparation for that, you need your secret weapon, which is awareness. And once that is practiced and exercised, then you enter the land of sustainable youth, abundant energy, and never-ending inspiration. And the principles around that will energize you, will bring back all the energy that was wasted, and now you have it fully available to create the adventure of a lifetime. And shift number 5 was make wise choices with regard to the support on the way. In one of my last emails, I asked the question, my advice for my 20-year younger version. Remember? My advice to my 20-year younger version. And I want to share some beautiful input. So many of you sent to me, and can't share all of them, of course not, but I want to give you some excerpts just to share this with you. One said, listen to your heart. Don't be afraid for the consequences. Accept your doubts and take up your responsibilities. So get up and live. Dare more, risk more, experiment. It does not have to be perfect. It just has to be done. Nike, just do it. Another one wrote, act, feel, dress, be like a woman. Well, obviously, you have suppressed that part, and it's time. Don't have on your tombstone written, saved it. No, get your best dress out now. Show up as the real person you want to be. Another one said, life is short. Do what makes you happy rather than what you think will everyone else make happy. Yes, important one. Liberate yourself from the attachment to get approval. Liberate yourself from the attachment, what others would think of you. Difficult one. Possible, not even possible, necessary. Don't remain in the same job, relationships, if you don't want to. The courage to not settle for compromises. I know, the mind tells you all the reasons, but remember, without the wizard in place, you're going to be forever a slave to the mind. Another one says, don't try to live up to what you think other people's expectations are. Live your own life, follow your heart. Yes. And last one I want to share is, don't spend time worrying what may or may not happen in the future. It is wasted energy. Live for the day and experience it fully. As I said, so many more. Thank you all so much for your valuable input. If I had to condense everything into 2, well, then I would say 1 is learn to consciously not mind what others think and want from you. And learn to really live in the moment, because life only happens in the moment. You cannot find it in the past, and you cannot find it in the future. Who I am today wouldn't have been there if I didn't have precious mentors and allies. Thank you, all of you. And one of my allies and a senior advisor, and I have the pleasure to introduce and hand over to him for the last minutes of the remaining webinar, and he is Mr. Nicholas Bell. Nick, please take over.
Thank you, Mark, for that lovely introduction. It's actually quite humbling to be invited to be a part of this call with you today. So much gratitude expressed. I really appreciate it. And I remember when you first talked to me about conscious aging and about the concept behind it and the motivation as to why you wanted to create it and the conversations you'd had with people through the creation process and how excited everybody got. And my first impression was, yeah, obviously this sounds fantastic. And then in our deeper conversations with each other, like the absolute profundity of conscious aging struck me, because as I came to learn, when I first heard about it, I thought maybe this is something that I may pick up in 20 years time. But understanding the principles behind aging consciously is something that we needn't wait to apply to our lives. This is something we can apply as soon as we're introduced to the knowledge. And that really, really excited me, kind of getting ahead of the curve where possible to ensure that we find ourselves in a few years' time in the absolute best position we can be in. So I was struck with it straight away. It really, really did get me. And I think it falls into that bracket with a lot of the other creative consciousness training for anybody out there that may have completed them in the past. And the bracket that I define here is the fact that these programs are so much more than the content. The content, what you'll hear, the actual teaching is phenomenal. But where the true power is in the way that it's delivered. And I think this is why anyone who's familiar with creative consciousness as a business, this is why you'll know that we only have our super highly qualified consciousness coaches actually in a position to take these trainings. Because what occurs when a training is really, really of a high standard is not just a transfer of knowledge, it's a transfer of power. There is an energetic exchange between the facilitator and the participant. And that is exactly what conscious aging is. And that's exactly the kind of bracket it falls into. Now, of course, with lockdowns left, right and centre, it's been a bit tough to know when we're going to have that freedom to travel. It's been a bit tough to really identify whether we're ready emotionally to travel yet, even if these restrictions have been lifted. And there were lots of internal conversations at Creative Consciousness as to whether the true power that we harness within our training could be transferred online. Does this have to be in person? And we ran a number of tests and we went through the process of really trying to understand this point. And we're blown away. The technology that exists these days is absolutely incredible to really be able to allow the facilitators like Mark to really be able to recreate that high connection that is such a powerful aspect of the creative consciousness training. So I think if you're watching this part of the webinar, if you've got to this stage, there's probably some kind of interest there. Some of you may have clicked the button on the screen to sign up already. Some of you may have booked a call with myself or a member of the team. If that's the case, if you have signed up, congratulations. It's an exciting time ahead. If you've booked a call with me or a member of the team, then I can tell you that we're excited to speak with you. If you fall into another category, which is, this sounds really interesting to me, I like the concept, but I'm just not sure. I'll just see how things go. I think the one thing that I would want to say in that situation is just to point out a reality that we all face, and that is that our bodies are 24/7 adaptation machines. We are in a constant state of transformation. You can see this at a cellular level by virtue of the fact that we know cells die and are replaced within the body on a continuous basis, so much so that every 9 years you've actually replaced all of your cells, which means you have essentially an entirely brand new body every 9 years. Now, when we see scientifically that is biologically what's happening, and we look experientially in our lives to see that, we're not the same person as when we were 31, when we were 21, when we were 11. You know, we're in constant change. When we see this irrefutable law of nature, the fact that we are in this constant state of transformation, we're faced with the truth. And that truth is this: over the next 6 months, you will transform. It's not up for debate, and it's not a choice that we have to make. We will. It's the way we're built. The question is, will we make that transformation conscious, or will we make that transformation unconscious, or allow it to be unconscious? Will we allow the future to unfold outside of our say-so? Or are we going to try and influence that in a way that allows us to reach what for us is the ideal life, allows us to be graceful moving into our maturing years? The choice is for each of us, because the next 6 months will pass no matter what, and you will change no matter what. The choice is, are you going to take control of that change? Now, we have really tried to create a program with Conscious Aging here, which, when you go through it, has this kind of shifting effect. As I said earlier, there's a transfer of knowledge and a transfer of power, which will occur as you go through this training. But what does that really mean? You know, a transfer of knowledge is quite obvious. You're going to hear things that you perhaps haven't heard before. You're going to be introduced to concepts and notions that perhaps you hadn't been introduced to before. But what does this transfer of power mean? Well, in the simplest way of explaining it, it means that just by virtue of completing the training, so just by turning up, playing full out and going all the way through, just by virtue of doing that, you will experience a shift. Even if you don't make any notes and don't take anything in intellectually and don't try to integrate any of these new lessons into your life, even if all of that stuff doesn't happen, just by virtue of being in the presence of the knowledge, of the teaching, and of the energy of transformation, you will experience seismic shifts. You will experience shifts at a subperceptual level. But the shifts that you experience at this subperceptual level, this is the roots of all of the things that manifest in our lives. So we're making shifts, if you like, in the soil. We're making the soil in the garden of our life far more nutrient filled and far more set up so that we can actually grow what we want to grow, so that we can realize what we want to realize. And the drive to take the business, or take it out, a part of the business online, has created this deeper understanding now that not only are we able to replicate the profundity and the really powerful change that we see during the in-person training, but we're actually able to deliver that at a lower cost. Why? Well, our costs are lower. We're not having to cover the cost for a venue. So therefore, we're able to deliver that saving back to you guys. So Conscious Aging, to be involved in the first round of this training, you will be the very first people to go through what is, as Mark has called it, one of the proudest moments of his life, creating this training. So you're going to get to go through a real signature piece of transformational work from the founder of Creative Consciousness. Now, the cost of our training is normally sort of in the 12 to 1,300 euros and upwards range, which again is an incredible investment because they are truly life-changing. But because of the fact that we are delivering this solely online, we are actually able to deliver Conscious Aging for an investment as low as 695 euros. Yes, I'll repeat, 695 euros in order to ensure that the path you're walking on moving forward is conscious. In order to ensure that that biological process that we have absolutely no control over, the process of change and transformation, is at least working in our favor. You know, we've at least set up the game so that we increase our chances of winning toward the end. Now, again, I come back to the question I had earlier. You know, what is it? The next 6 months are going to pass no matter what, whether you take this or not. The question is, are you going to introduce evolution, change, and transformation into your life? And I think the same goes with an investment as small as 695 euros. It's so easy in this day and age to flitter away an amount of money like that, especially over the next few months. So where better to place that investment and place that time than placing it into an avenue which ensures a better life for you in the future. This is an investment in you, both an investment of time and an investment of money, and indeed an investment of energy and of hope. Because by listening to the things that we've said on this webinar today, they are fantastic. They're incredible. And that installs hope. And for those of you who truly know us, you know that we don't create that hope and dash it afterwards. No, of course we don't. Why? Well, because we know that when somebody invests time and money, the big investment really is that hope for a better tomorrow. And we don't play lightly with being given that responsibility, which is why we make sure that these trainings are beyond phenomenal. And I think that's my closing point here, is really just to say that in this moment in time, we know that what we've created is world class, and that we have the confidence to sit here and look you in the eye and say to you, this is going to change your life. Now, in this moment of time, all that we would ask you for is 5% of your confidence in what we're doing. And we will earn the other 95%. When you go through this training, you will be blown away and you will see it. If not, we have a 100% money back guarantee available to anyone upon request. Not a problem at all. At all. We believe in life that the receiving of money or other kinds of payments is only justified if there's been an even exchange of value. And if in going through this training you don't feel that you've received that, then we would want to refund the money as soon as physically possible. But we know with the standard of training it's very unlikely that that's going to happen. So I can sit here and be as confident as to say to you, just give us a small amount of your confidence. The quality of this training and the transformational potential that exists within this training will earn the rest of your confidence. We'll never have a question about that again. Now, there'll be a button on the screen. You can click that button to go through and sign up right away now. We've said it before, we'll say it again, there are 50 places only in this training. Why are there 50 places in this training? There are only 50 places in this training for two reasons. The first one is, as I was talking about earlier, a transfer of power. Our studies and our tests show us so far that yes, we can recreate the profundity of experience that you get in person, but that starts to dilute when you go above a certain number of people. And we find 50 people from that perspective to be the absolute best. Why? Well, number one, it's a group which is a group size which allows Mark and any other trainer in the future who may take this, is just Mark for now, but it allows Mark to really give focused attention to each member of that group. So when you sign up, Mark will want to know about who you are and have an awareness of what you're there to achieve, and really will want to see that evolution take place. The second reason is a technological reason, and that's because Zoom has Zoom, the video calling platform which we use to deliver this training, has a maximum of 49 people that you can display on one screen without scrolling left or right. And again, Mark wants to be able to look into the eyes of every member of this training and see where they are and see the instinctive reactions in moments, because he will pick so much up from that will allow him to further the experience of this training for you. So we limit it at that amount of people. Okay, those are our two reasons why. So if you are absolutely in and you're like, yes, I have to be involved in this, click the button ASAP. You know, we've been communicating via email and via post to promote this for the last few weeks now. There's a huge amount of interest. We've had 400 or 500 people communicate with us to either give us feedback or to ask for more information or to request their position in the program already. So I would strongly recommend taking action now. If you're ready to sign up, go ahead and secure your place. It takes 5 minutes. If you want to ask some more direct questions, click the booking link, which you can see either on the chat on the right hand side, or if the button has still popped up, then there. Click that and you'll speak with a member of me and my team, and we can answer any questions that you have. We can cover any concerns that may still be in your mind, any bits that maybe weren't explained fully or maybe didn't compute for you, and we can conclude that call with finalizing your enrollment. We take care of absolutely everything from that point forward. And here we are, the winners of our free prize draw, which was to win your place in the first ever Conscious Aging training program. I'm delighted to say that Joe Lieben, Cindy DeGrave, and Mark Musgrave are the three names we picked out of the hat. So guys, all three of you have got a totally free entry into this brand new program. Congratulations, and thank you for your input and for sharing some feedback with us through these communications. And for anybody who shared information but hasn't won a place, we still want to thank you nonetheless. As I said earlier on, the contribution of that information that you've given to us is going to help us to create a far greater program and ultimately help far more people in the long run. So your input has been incredible. But Joe, Cindy, Mark, big congratulations. Keep an eye on your email inbox because you will receive some details about your prize very, very soon. And for those of you who've decided to join the training, amazing. I look forward to seeing you in a few weeks. I can't wait myself. And for those of you who've booked a call, I'm equally as excited to meet you, and let me know in advance by email. When you book the call, you'll get my email address. Let me know in advance if there's any questions you want to give me in advance so I can prepare maybe some of the bigger questions. Okay, so thank you so much. Oh, one final thing. Final decision, option A, 4 times 2.5 hour slots. So again, for any of you that are about to book a call with us and sign up, or click the button on the screen and sign up, that's the option we're going with. Anyway, thank you so much. It's, as I said earlier, it's quite humbling to have an opportunity to come here and be present for something which is going to change so many lives in the future. That's really very beautiful for me and really very humbling. I look forward to seeing those of you booking calls over the next week or so on Conversations, and I look forward to seeing the rest of you that are signing up on Conscious Aging training. Until then, have an amazing, amazing week, guys, and thank you for joining us.